What is going on, Pats Nation? You guys already know who it is. Patriots Global here, back with another video, and in this one, I want to talk about JoeJuan Williams and how Patriots reporter for ESPN, Mike Reese, a very, very reliable source to the team, is saying that he believes JoeJuan Williams, Patriots' fourth-year cornerback now, is a long shot to make the team. Which, I mean, unfortunately just goes to show, looking back, how bad that 2019 draft was. At the time, I really didn't think it was that bad. I thought a couple of these picks were going to hit for the Patriots, and the only pick that actually landed for New England in 2019 was Damian Harris. Outside of that, absolutely terrible. And at this point, that second round pick the Patriots used on JoeJuan Williams is not going to suffice the reason that he should stay around, because the Patriots at this point have shipped off two of their top three picks from that 2019 draft. They already shipped off Chase Winovich. They shipped off N'Keal Harry. Don't think that JoeJuan Williams is going to be some special case. Now, we all thought JoeJuan Williams really could be the guy that breaks the camel's back, essentially meaning that the Patriots love to pick defensive backs in the second round of the draft, and it never seems to go well for them in recent years. Cyrus Jones, JoeJuan Williams now, Duke Dawson, we can go on and on with that list. Them picking defensive backs in the second round just doesn't seem to go very well, and that's given PTSD really to Patriots fans. And we thought maybe JoeJuan Williams could defeat that mold because of what we heard about him heading into the draft process, and then obviously after the Patriots signing him. Now, he's a really big defensive back, a guy that can play some safety, a guy that's going to give you a true outside corner, loves to play man-to-man, especially press man, which is what the Patriots defense at that time was essentially ran around. And at 6'4", you knew that he was going to be a mismatch nightmare, a guy that could go up against tight ends, running backs out of the backfield, the largest receiver on an opponent's offense. I mean, the sky was the absolute limit for what the Patriots could do with somebody like JoeJuan Williams. And hey, you can't even necessarily say that the Patriots pushed on this pick. Was there better options to go from, JoeJuan Williams? 100%. But he was a highly thought-upon defensive back heading into the pre-draft process. He finished his junior year with 61 total tackles, 4 interceptions, and 13 passes defended. He ran a 4.64 40-yard dash, which essentially was really the big knock on him, and I will say that that definitely has translated to the NFL level. It also just seems that mentally he's always been just a little bit of a tick behind. But even with that 4.64 speed, with the size he brings, he could still easily match up against tight ends. And you look on early in JoeJuan Williams' career with the Patriots, he really didn't have that chance straight off the bat to make a difference with the Patriots. Again, he was drafted in 2019. The year prior, the Patriots had picked up Keon Crossan and J.C. Jackson as UDFAs, and let's also keep in mind Stephon Gilmore was still a part of this Patriots secondary, so there was just a big hole and a big question mark on how is JoeJuan Williams going to fit in as a rookie. So that rookie year, he really didn't do anything, but it was understandable because of all of the guys that were already set ahead of him. In 2020, though, we were all expecting JoeJuan Williams to really take that next step forward. A lot of times we see the Patriots kind of redshirt some of these players, especially when there's a lot of depth pieces ahead of them. But then their sophomore year, they really start to incorporate them either offensively or defensively into the scheme. And at that point in 2020, the Patriots still had Stephon Gilmore for about half the season. They still had J.C. Jackson, but they really didn't have a true number 3 because you had Jason McCourty dealing with some injuries. He did also deal with some injuries the year prior, which you could make the argument that's where JoeJuan Williams could have tried to fit himself into, but again, as a rookie, I wasn't expecting too much. But then the second half of 2020, once Stephon Gilmore was out, obviously J.C. Jackson was thrusted into that number 1 role. That was the perfect time for JoeJuan Williams to cement himself, and he just didn't. And then in 2021, not only did JoeJuan Williams have the opportunity to compete for the CB2 spot, but the Patriots desperately needed a CB3 after Stephon Gilmore shipped off to the Carolina Panthers, and again, J.C. Jackson took over as that number one guy. Unfortunately for both the Patriots and JoeJuan Williams, he did not showcase anything that dictated that he was able to take that step forward, not only as a number 2 corner, but not even as a number 3. Throughout his time with the Patriots, he's played just 15%, 18%, and 35% of the Patriots' defensive snaps. This past year, again, which arguably was his best chance to make the roster and actually have a starting role impact, he logged just 26 total tackles, and 10 of them came against the run. Now again, due to depth purposes, JoeJuan Williams did see more action this past year than in recent years. Despite him not being able to take over as CB2, CB3, he did again still get a little bit more action. And even in the slight increase in snaps that he got, he proved he wasn't ready for it. Some of these moments came from Week 5 against the Houston Texans, where he gave up a 37-yard touchdown, or if we want to look at the Buffalo Bills, where he let Josh Allen go 4 for 5 on 72 yards and a touchdown, which ultimately he ends the 2021 campaign, giving up 14 receptions on 23 targets for 201 yards and 2 touchdowns. Now, he is only 24 years old. He is definitely young enough to still make an impact, to still learn, and is definitely still in his prime. So I do think that, hey, look, even if the Patriots do end up releasing him, he's going to find a home somewhere else. I would not be surprised at all if he goes somewhere like the Las Vegas Raiders. In fact, that is a team that wouldn't surprise me to see a trade right before the start of the season. The Patriots do everything they can to make JoeJuan Williams look good, especially in the preseason where he showed some flashes, and then Josh McDaniels calls Bill Belichick up and says, hey, look, I'll give you, a 6th or 7th round pick for JoeJuan Williams, in which that will help give some familiarity to the Raiders secondary for Josh McDaniels, especially with how much issues that secondary is having over there with the Raiders. I mean, you think the Patriots are having issues within their secondary? Believe it or not, it's actually worse for the Raiders. Now, I could definitely see the Patriots going both ways with deciding to either keep him or release him. Ultimately, I think, again, if he is going to be shipped off, it's going to be one of those get down to the 53-man roster right before the start of the 2022 season. That is where I would see a potential trade happening. So it would really come down to two things. One, the type of market he would have. I think at this point, if the Patriots can get anything for JoeJuan Williams, they should trade him. But two, how they're doing against the cap. The Patriots do like to head into the regular season with somewhere between $5 to $10 million in cap space. Either way, they do still need some money for the 2022 season to pay a week-to-week basis for guys' bonuses. And if the Patriots release him after June 1st, which obviously this would be, that cut would save a total of $1.3 million. With that being said, though, if it's the other way around and he's not getting a market, no teams are really interested in trading for JoeJuan Williams, I could see the Patriots deciding to potentially keep him with all of the secondary issues that they're going to face already. Williams is a free agent at the end of the season anyway, so even if you decide to keep him just for depth purposes and secondary situational snaps, you only are going to have him under contract for one more year, and then he hits the open market and you don't got to worry about him. So I think this could really be dictated on what do we see from this secondary, these other cornerbacks, these outside cornerbacks and the guys behind them, and that will determine what is going to happen essentially with JoeJuan Williams. Let's keep in mind that the Patriots' current depth chart here for their cornerbacks is going to be, Jalen Mills, Malcolm Butler, Jonathan Jones, Justin Bethel, Terrence Mitchell, Marcus Jones, Sean Wade, Jack Jones. As long as these guys show the ability to be able to, essentially just stay healthy, then I could see JoeJuan Williams really being on the outside looking in. But again, with all of the current depth the Patriots have and not really solidifying who is CB1, who is CB2, and who is CB3, this really is JoeJuan Williams' last chance to make his mark and show, hey, I deserve to be somewhere on this defense, and this is going to be one of the best opportunities for him to showcase that from any team in the entire NFL. What are your guys' thoughts on Mike Reese saying that he has a long shot to make this Patriots roster, though? Let me know in the comment section below. Remember to leave a big like on this video and subscribe to the channel for all of your New England Patriots news. But like always, I appreciate you guys for watching. And like always, go Pats.